Ladies and gentlemen, it's absolute destruction today in the market as Bitcoin fell all the way down to $83,000. Some are saying that the bear market is here. However, Luke Groman, Arthur Hayes, and Raoul Pal have other ideas. Also, gold continues grinding up even after today's action. But why? And I have a very special guest on today's stream to help me make sense of it all. I'm Cairo Copeland, and you are watching Shut the Fud Up.
Sometimes you just gotta shut the fud up.
But today, actually, is a special episode of Who the Hex Are You? Because I have a guest on with me today. And this guest is someone that you've seen many times before, probably, at a lot of the different conferences. This is someone who's a very positive person that I think can lift our spirits, and which we particularly need after a day like today. This is someone who's known around here as the Heavenly Holder, or the Straight-Faced Hodler, or perhaps you may know them as the musician of our community. But whoever could I possibly be talking about?
A legitimate question, young man, deserving a legitimate answer. Now then.
I'm talking about Hodpril. Welcome, Hodpril. Welcome to Reinvent Ideal. How you doing tonight?
I am doing all right. How are you? What a crazy day.
Yeah, I'm still alive after it. Yep.
Well.
I mean, it was looking pretty scary there early in the morning, right about 10 a.m. when all that negative price action had occurred. And in case maybe somebody was asleep all day today, well, maybe we should check the macro markets to show them everybody exactly what are we talking about that occurred here today. That's this here. Bitcoin right now at 84,000. It got all the way down to like 83,000 earlier today. But
yeah, it did.
Just erased the whole year's gains. So, what was your reaction to seeing that happen this morning, Hodpril?
Well, I was not at my computer this morning, so I looked and it was, and I'm sure Microsoft's announcement had a little bit to do with that too, with their we're a little bit overinvested in AI. Like, yeah, no shit, but you announced it, so and that's why it's important to have your finger on the macro pulse. You know what I mean? To know what's going on outside of the charts, because anything could happen. I mean, my instinct was, okay, this is a crazy drop. Like, whoever is at their computer or in a spot where they can take advantage of the immediate dip that's just already bouncing up, they're really the winner in this, right? It's because, that's a Microsoft, amongst other things, but that's an immediate volatility pound, and it's like, grab, get it, that's the way I see it. So I'm just like, I wasn't on my computer. Dang,
yeah. That's what else I heard. Like, Microsoft had taken like an 11% drop today, and that's because they are spending too much money on AI. That's what it turned out to be.
I heard it was something. I mean, that's a very huge generalization, but that they were a little bit over invested in stuff that isn't quite paying back, and so that kind of initiated some volatility, I'll call it.
Well, that does make a lot of sense there, because like the capital expenditures that those Mag 7 companies, and even like other companies in the S&P that are doing on this AI thing, it's like they're doing it without even thinking about it or doing an analysis on how profitable this thing can be, and without any regard to the fact that like OpenAI is losing money by the billions of dollars a month.
Yeah.
And they don't care.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not paying for your AI service, you have to think, well, okay, this isn't free. It's not even close to free. And even when you're because I use AI a lot, and what you're really paying for is power, right? So it's, I mean, hardware, but really power, and it's expensive.
That's right. That's
It
right. The
is.
compute. Yep. It's all a expenditure of hydrocarbons. Like Doomberg said it best. Like your standard of living is best measured by how much heat you get to waste, or how many hydrocarbons you can waste. That's determines your standard of living.
Not
Look,
bad.
look at this here. Like while we're talking about compute and computing power,
Ooh,
Ethereum down below 3,000 again. And I tell you what, like me,
it's
I got a
38.
grudge.
Yeah.
Got a grudge against Ethereum here because like it really worries me to see that it hasn't done anything at all this whole cycle. That's very concerning to me here because I look at it as people are going to turn to that and think, why would I ever invest in an altcoin when the number one altcoin did absolutely nothing for 5 years? That
Well,
worries me.
Bitcoin is kind of made to be less volatile. And people don't like to hear that because they want to hear their investment's going to go up, right? But Bitcoin, and Ethereum right behind it. And I would like to think that Bitcoin is a little bit like gold and Ethereum is a little bit like silver. And it used to be Bitcoin was gold, Litecoin was silver, you know what I mean? But that's kind of become the case with Ethereum, as well as its usability, and it and silver kind of have other ulterior usability functions too. So it's kind of funny that I feel like the floor of Ethereum is still growing higher than Bitcoin's. Like they're both uh, like linear with each other, but Ethereum's gaining a little bit that floor, I think, functionally. And also, I still think that Pulse Chain is a better fork of Ethereum because of the throughput issues. So there's that. But still,
Exactly. I mean,
you know,
all of the complaining I hear from mainstream crypto about Ethereum, but not a single one of them want to acknowledge that there are superior alternatives to Ethereum. One of them is even actually a hard fork of Ethereum, and they don't even want to acknowledge that. They're just going to keep whining and complaining. Oh, Vitalik, you need to spend the money on the developers or something. Come on
he
now.
doesn't have to do it. Well, doesn't really have to do much. I mean, if that's not his goal, is to get that higher throughput and to make those gas fees go down. I mean, it is proof of stake. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
but I feel like since Vitalik's token is Ethereum, and I could be wrong on this, but I think since he's not into making altcoins or tokens, he's thinking less of the gas prices. Like Richard Hart, for example, he made Hex, which is a token on Ethereum, right? And the whole point of forking Pulse Chain was to make Ethereum better so you could unstake Hex without crazy penalties and without it, defeating the whole purpose of your yield, right? When you're not making an altcoin and you're just making a coin, or you're not making a token, you're just making a coin, you might not necessarily think about that much. I mean, Vitalik does because he has everybody telling him that, but your goal might be different, right?
That's right.
So
Yep. Let's have a look at the assets that we care about the most here. The RH ecosystem, Pulse Chain, Hex, Pulse X, and the incentive token. And not a pretty picture, but we've seen it get beaten worse on bad days than this here. So I mean, even though we don't like double-digit negative red candles here over on Hex,
no,
it's been a lot worse in
not
our
usually not.
Exactly. Like we lived through the Gensler candles, you lived through the Interpol candles, you lived through the PDI candles. So they would have to do a lot more to discourage a lot of people out of this here. And what I find very interesting is like when the rest of the market suffers. I mean, we're not immune to it entirely, but we seem to suffer less than the rest of the market here, and I think that's a function of the fact that you don't do a lot of leverage over here on Pulse Chain because we're not on
It's
these
too hard for people
exchanges.
to get on here in the first place to appreciate the volatility that it could have. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because, there's the bridge and everything. I'm really hoping this ProveX makes it easier for people to jump in because you still need technical expertise to get into Pulse Chain if you're not doing like an over the counter trade with somebody or, going through the bridge. So the altcoin, especially the bubbled altcoin community of Pulse Chain, because no one wants to list Pulse Chain yet, which is crazy. It takes there's a gap. It takes a little bit of time to get there. I mean, we are kind of liquidity bonded, whatever, but there's a delay there, and it's a little harder to get to. But yeah, it does affect us. Bitcoin affects everything.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what here, though. I mean, last week when I had SJ on, Richard retweeted that stream, so I'm taking that as Richard watches my show. So he's watching
Oh
us
yeah.
right now.
Oh
What
yeah.
do you want to say to Richard here about this? What would you, if he's watching, what
Oh
would you
man,
want him to know about what you're thinking about just the present state of affairs, even like if it's not related to Pulse Chain, Hex, and all that, but like to crypto in general?
keep fighting, keep doing what you're doing. Don't stop. And, I hope you know how much people appreciate it. You're on Twitter all the time. You've given up your freedom, a lot of it to fight for. I mean, you're saying glory and it's true, but really you're fighting for the people who hold your crypto and who've been with you, all of these years. So please keep doing it. We'll try to do what we can to support you, the people that understand where you're coming from, and the fight against the SEC and winning that, I mean, that's huge because that initially tanked a lot of what we had, and that was just a function of really kind of being attacked by a three letter agency, which crypto being what it is, especially DeFi, I mean, that's part of the name of the game when you're seeking freedom for yourself, holding your own funds. A lot of people don't even know what the concept of holding your own funds really means, right? Especially the ones that don't need to get cash. They just have the card, they just have Venmo. They're afraid to actually have money at home. They're afraid to hold any precious metal. They're afraid to get their crypto off of Coinbase. And it's a lot to fight for that when people don't know what it is or they don't value that, but it's so important in humanity to give people the freedom to have their money, which is power, right? Money is currency is a form of power. You can buy things, you can invest in things, it's what you have. And please just keep fighting for it. It's highly appreciated, people who understand what you're doing.
Absolutely. And the only thing I would add to that is, Richard, we hope that ProveX does like what Hodpril had said, that it will make it easier for people to onboard into this ecosystem and buy these coins. And I hope that if you're waiting to release it, I hope that you're waiting for like the most opportune time to release it, like when the money printer at the Fed gets turned back on. I'm
Oh
hoping,
yeah.
guys, assuming it gets turned back on, because that situation doesn't look very good right now either. But before we get into that here, when you look at all this red that you see on page 1 of CoinMarketCap, what would be your reaction to this, Hodpearl, if I asked you, does this mean we're in a bear market yet?
Well, we're certainly in a bear market when it comes to high risk assets, right? Which include crypto and stocks and whatever. I mean, people are jumping into the risk off, which is precious metals, pretty much. Fiat to a lesser extent. And I'd like to think that gold backs are a mixture of the two. But
Yep.
but yeah, it's easier to accept these things when you know what's going on behind the scenes, right? You know that like Microsoft this morning, or what's going on with the Fed, what's going on with Japan and people being able to borrow, and what would cause a large amount of people to go from high risk to low risk assets, right? It's it's a lot less scary when you understand those things and the political implications of the tariffs and everything, financial implications. When you see a big red, event and it's not bad luck, you know what I mean? This
Yeah.
bad luck. There's actually a reason for it, So
So would you be kind of like of the same mind as like Benjamin Cowan, because he's calling this the bear market, that it is going to be down till at least October? Would you say that you agree with that or disagree?
it's very possible. And October, the funny thing is, I feel like the de-risk event really started in October, where the yen started to get a little stronger. People kind of freaked out and jumped out of, again, the high risk assets and started buying precious metals,
Yeah.
silver especially. Silver went higher than the gold and everything, the floor of it. It was wild. They just went for silver because also the AI and the car batteries and some of the deals that went with silver. I mean, people just they're still massively getting it. I know it crashed today, but it's, you know,
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think it came back though. It had like a
it
bounce
did. It
back
bounced.
down.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll give you a little bit of hopium though, because like I'm like really taking the arrows here on a bear market thing, because I've been one of the people that are saying, hey, this 4-year cycle thing isn't real because time doesn't tell trillions of dollars what to do. So a little bit of hopium I have here is, one, I keep a close eye on World Liberty Financial for a reason, because I believe that the majority of like the insiders that are around the president have their money in this. And if they knew something bad was coming, or if something bad was coming, they'd probably be some of the first people to know. They would pull their money right out of this. Pull their money out of World Liberty Financial. The other thing that confirms a bear market for me is that in bear markets, this is Tether. Last bear market we had, you saw the market capitalization of a stable coin like Tether go down because the user base of crypto was shrinking. But it's still going up here. It has like come down just a little bit, but I think that's largely because there's so many more alternatives to stable coins now. Like Fidelity Investments is going to release their own stable coin real soon. Same going here for USDC. I mean, it's not the number one stable coin anymore. But like last time we were in a bear market, this thing lost a lot of market cap. It has come back up. And I think like the reason it went from this high here of like 78 billion to 70 billion is just because there's so many alternatives out there now. And in fact, here's the story. Fidelity launches a stablecoin. There's the story I was talking about there. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if I see a large erosion of market cap for these stablecoins, well, absolutely, that confirms we're in a bear market because the user base of crypto is legitimately going down. Don't think we're quite there yet. Particularly, it's got to be with Tether because that's the number one stablecoin that gets used the most. Let's have a look here at TradFi. What's going on with them? Apple had a good day today, while Microsoft had a really crappy day today.
Which is funny because Apple's AI is terrible.
Exactly. Apple's AI is terrible. Meta had a great day, and they're investing a ton of capital expenditure into the AI space. So I don't know if it's really something that is it AI malinvestment or something. It's hard to really say because everything was just so all over the place here today. I mean, we're not down that much now in S&P and NASDAQ, although these things were down pretty close to 2% earlier today. Gold and silver, they both got kicked in the teeth earlier today, but they made it right back up and had a positive finish for the day. And interestingly, natural gas had been having like a really great run. It came down a little bit today, but the scary thing is oil and Brent are going up. Yeah, we don't like to see that. Yeah, because that could mean an economic slowdown is ahead of us. So that was today in TradFi. What's your reaction to some of this stuff you see here, Hodpril?
Just another another day in TradFi. I mean, the uh, the whole AI thing, the whole companies and with Trump and all of these new regulations, it's just been volatile lately, even like in tech, um, with AI and everything else, and like you said, even people trying to get into the stable coin. Like I feel like TradFi is sort of nudging into the crypto space, and they still don't quite 100% understand it. Some of them completely do, but um, it's a volatile time politically. So I mean, financial world is gonna follow suit, right? People have their hand on the pulse, and they're looking at uh, where to put their investments, because so many things can just be a flop right now. They could put
Yeah.
they could put all of their eggs in one basket and it be wrong. One example of that is how volatile precious metals are right now. Traditionally, precious metals are not volatile, so it's super weird to be a part of that. That doesn't happen very often. So it's just people shuffling around trying to make sure they don't lose everything because of the uncertainty. They don't know what's happened, right? And really, low risk means high uncertainty, right? Like I'm not willing to risk things because this is chaotic. That's what I
Yeah.
feel like instinctually, right? I know that's really vague term and not technical or anything, but just in general, that's sort of the sentiment I feel.
Yeah. This thing that we're showing on the screen right now is the DXY at 96.16. This relates to something that Hodpril and I are going to talk about a little bit later about the yen, because that's really what's causing this here. People think that like there's this great dollar debasement going on. Not really, because the DXY is just comparing the dollar to other fiat currencies, and those other fiat currencies, such as the yen, are getting stronger. There is a purpose behind all of this here, though, that we will talk about later. But another thing that we check on every single stream is what's the interest rate environment doing? It looked like that 10-year is basically right back to where it was 14 months ago at 4.23%. I think it was 14 months ago. Let's see. What's the chart say? Okay. Well, not 14. Well, it might have. Yeah, not quite. Well, actually, it could have been. Would have been. Well, nah, not really. It was more like March is when it was in that territory. Okay. So 10 months ago is where it was. Lots of wild volatility in between here with it.
Look at October. Wow. Well,
Yeah.
late October. Yeah.
Yeah. Matter of fact, this right here, 2024, this drop to October, this was during the first carry trade unwind.
By the way, it's a little hard to see with our screens on it. I don't know if you're able to
Let me
kind of
scroll down. Is that better?
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah. Yep. We'll certainly touch on that here. But I did see one explanation about what could possibly be the cause of gold doing what it's doing. Haven't really been able to verify this myself here because Luke Groman is one of those people that I'll follow and I'll watch anytime he's on a stream. I haven't seen him actually say this, but here's what this person here says. Luke Groman's latest report caught my attention. Tether met with U.S. officials, then bought more gold than Bitcoin. That's strange for a crypto company to be buying gold instead of Bitcoin or some other crypto. Poland, our closest ally in the EU, just approved buying 150 more tons of gold, and that's really what's pushing the price of gold up is all of these sovereign banks, central banks of foreign sovereign entities that's doing it. But here's the explanation. They want to force the world out of treasuries and into gold. Which, why would they want to do that, Amir? That's going to make the national debt more expensive with higher interest rates. Well, the other thing they want to do is they want to weaken the dollar, which they are achieving right now. They want to weaken the dollar because it's very hard to have manufacturing here in the United States when you're the world reserve currency. So if we're weaker, it's less difficult for us to do that.
And
We
that's
can
why
restore
China weakened their currency.
exactly. Yep. You see, the stronger your currency is, well, the tougher time you have with your exports, tougher time you have selling them. But then if we have a weaker currency, well, we can make exporting here more profitable. And then they say, well, then the United States government is going to do a form of backdoor QE where they revalue the 8,000 tons of gold that the government has on its balance sheet. They can just basically change an entry on a computer to say, hey, this gold it's currently only valued at $35 an ounce. They can change that. I mean, if they changed it to the current valuation, that's a lot of money. They can change it to $100,000 an ounce if they want to. Instant trillions would be on the U.S. balance sheet, and that gives them a lot of leeway for issuing more treasuries, basically doing a lot more money printing, because it is a form of backdoor QE. When they do that, though, they say, well, then Bitcoin will capture the debasement.
Scroll up alert. Or, yeah,
Scroll
down,
up.
I guess.
Yep.
Down, scroll down. There you go.
All right. Yep.
Up for viewer, down for user.
Mm-hmm. So it says here that like this is all part of like some grand master plan, which if this is true, I find that very reassuring because watching Trump and Besant and what they're doing, I'm just having a lot of a hard time going, guys, what are you doing? Why are you doing what you're doing? But if this is the grand plan, well, this could be like the most brilliant thing ever done in the history of money. What do you think of that?
I mean, number one, getting manufacturing here in any way, even if it's debasing our currency. I mean, holy cow, it's hard to get. It's almost hard to get anything manufactured here. It's almost hard to get, and that's bad. It always seems like it would be good for your currency to be the strongest one, and most of the time it is, or stronger. But you're right about when you're willing to make it cheaper, you can strengthen your home base, which again happened to China with their weakened yen. And actually, Trump was running on that. Like, hey, you're going to keep weakening not yen, yuan. You're going to keep weakening the yuan. And, that's kind of an act of, not an act of aggression, but it's a lack of wanting to work with others and, be able to have, import from elsewhere. You know what I mean? Basically, for lack of a better word. But you need both. And I mean, obviously, when we have more, when we are printing more, then it's going to be more risk on, and people will get back into crypto and stocks and more high risk assets. So for us in crypto land, I mean, that would be pretty cool to then have the instant trillions, right? As weird as it sounds. But depending on where you're standing, what your goals are, I mean, you could play all of this to your benefit if you know what's going on, right? You can see the skeleton of what could be. But gold is a reset. I mean, all fiat eventually goes to zero. Historically, right? It's kind of funny to say that about the dollar. I mean, not in our lifetime, but the real assets, they're gold. And I believe that Bitcoin and crypto, they are real assets because of the solidness of what it is and how it's created. But yeah, it would definitely be a more risk on environment, and we'd be pumping.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I saw that today that stood out to me, and I also saw this that stood out to me here, is that El Salvador apparently is on the same train as well because they bought $50 million worth of gold.
I didn't see that. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, like, this is the Bitcoin country here, the first Bitcoin treasury company with the first strategic Bitcoin reserve. and they're buying gold. What's going on? I mean, these guys didn't suddenly start hating Bitcoin because they. I don't know if he did have a change of heart. If Bukele did have a change of heart here, I'm sure we would have heard about it from Max Kaiser, but we would never hear the end of it.
Oh, I think they're all still fans of Bitcoin. They just know it's a risk-off environment. I mean, if you're willing to trade and not just hold and play it smart, you do what you're supposed to do, right? You'd follow, especially if you had people riding on your success. If you're, Bukele, you do what you need to do, but please come back to Bitcoin when the cards are stacked for it, right?
Yeah, or he's in on. He might be in with everyone on this conspiracy, if this conspiracy here is true. Maybe Bukele is in on it as well. I'm hoping that's the case.
Shoot, could be.
Yeah, because here's what else to see. It's like this to me is the most important chart, and that's the Fed's balance sheet. It shows here that like any money printing they've done in the past month in December, they undid it in January. So like you had this really
They're treating
nice
precious metals like crypto. It's the weirdest thing. It's hard for me to wrap my head around. It all makes sense, but it's a trip. Like I know dinosaurs are real, but if I saw one, I'd like not believe it. You know what I mean? I have that same distension of belief. Like, wow, they're really aping into gold. I mean, I guess it's not that crazy, but just the volatility of it, it's so weird to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So updates to the balance sheet are always a week behind. It's like the last update here is from up to the 21st. It's always a week behind. And here's what's interesting. Just like it had a really handsome run up at the beginning, at the end of last year. And at the beginning of this year, we had a very handsome run up in crypto. That first week of January was a very nice week. Since then, it's been down and it's sucked. And that's because since then, the balance sheet has been down. And the additions to it have been very small, very moderate, not meaningful in the least bit. It's like the Federal Reserve is very begrudgingly printing money in the smallest amount they can get away with, is what it seems like. And maybe that's why this grand conspiracy with gold is what's going on. Maybe that's why they're doing it, to do backdoor QE, because the Fed seems to refuse to want to do the QE that we want.
Yeah.
Yep. And then the other thing to pay attention to is this here. I mean, this chart pretty much explains why last year sucked so hard. Is because Fed net liquidity had just been on the decline ever since July. We had the trend reversing and starting to go back up, but then it started going back down. And I think that's the real reason why today and the past few weeks have really sucked here, because it's about $100 billion of liquidity just wiped right out.
That'll do it.
Yeah, that there is our macro market review.
Everyone's stacking their doubloons, and they don't want to invest in anything other than their doubloons in the corner.
Exactly.
And, I trash talk precious metals a lot, but I like them too. Like I invest in both actually. So, but it's just funny. I think the last stream I was on, I called the silver buyers a bunch of Judas sack holders. There's just got biblical with it, and like
they got their 30.
Hey, wait a minute.
There's 30 pieces of it that they got.
Right. Now I love silver.
Well, I'll tell you, here's something. I spoke way too soon yesterday. Because you see, yesterday, during
that was
like
a
the
different world yesterday.
Most uneventful Fed meeting, and there wasn't much volatility from it. So I thought everybody learned a very important lesson that I've been repeating on here multiple times, but it shows that no, they haven't learned that lesson. What is that lesson? Well, Margaret Qualley will tell us here. It's this.
Control yourself!
Nope. They had control for just one day, and then they just couldn't help themselves anymore. So I got a lot more work cut out for me to get that message across. But enough about that. Let's turn it back over to you. So, in case someone's been living under a rock, there's never watched any of the conferences before or any of the ladies' streams that you're usually a part of, in case someone's never heard of you, what is your story for how you got here and became a
Okay.
Hexican?
I mined Bitcoin a while ago, 2013. I had a KNC miner, um, more or less lived on it I didn't hodl back then. You know what I mean? I kind of just, oh, cool, passive income, which is great, And they had, so as soon as you would get it, there was Mount Gox, there was BTCE, a few other little places where you could trade, but people would figure that out. Some of them had Python trading bots. Back in the day, the fees were negligible because really the price of the asset wasn't very high, if it was even considered an asset, which it barely was. So people, instead of trading magic cards, they just trade Bitcoin, and because nobody thought it was real, like the people take for granted how much people thought it was just total baloney. Like, oh, this money is just, what is it, a number? It's computer money. It's absolute garbage from everybody except for Max Kaiser. Max Kaiser was the only person, and I remember he would say, Bitcoin's going to be 20 grand someday, and it just sounded absolutely stupid or ridiculous, right? Like he was the extreme guy, and he wore all the crazy ties and everything, and had Stacy on there or whatever. But I mean, yeah, people would spend tons of Bitcoin getting uh, pizzas, stupid online gambling things. They're kicking themselves for not holding. I mean, they would spend hundreds of Bitcoins on things, stupid stuff, because people didn't know about it yet. And what got me to mine Bitcoin in the first place was that I saw it was starting to be used for illicit activities online, right? Like, oh, people are using this for stuff and they're not traceable, because Bitcoin was actually really used to be untraceable. Now, Monero did a better job with that later with the ring signature obfuscation that they used, but originally Bitcoin, the it wasn't made to go up in value. It was made to obfuscate the user, right? So, and it does. If you're not, I mean, you could still do chain analysis and figure out what's going on, but initially people would use it to get away with paying for something without being traced. And so that's how it started being used. That's how people started using it for things, you know. And so once it had like a negligible amount of money per Bitcoin, people would trade it, and then it took off from there. But yeah, you could mine it. Shortly after that, it was more profitable to just buy it and hold. But people didn't know either, because it was still kind of volatile too, right? They didn't know how valuable it was going to be. I guess Max Kaiser knew, no one else did, right? So that was interesting. So I got into it pretty early, but wasn't a big hodler back then.
All right. And how did you end up in Hex?
So I went from Bitcoin to hedging against Litecoin, Yuan, Ruble, USD, and then there was Namecoin, Feathercoin, uh, Bitcoin, and Litecoin, right? And so some people had Litecoin, and that was considered the silver. Uh, so other than that, I kind of went from Bitcoin to Ethereum to Monero and Ethereum to Hex and Pulse Chain, because I like the functionality of the crypto even more than the price. When the crypto is good, the price follows eventually, because when it's a pump and dump shitcoin, if you're not just a trader, it's not going to last, right? So when you're a holder, you want to read the white paper, figure out what it's made for. You almost want sort of a guru-esque person to have made the coin or token I mean, Vitalik wanted Ethereum to be something you could develop on, right? That's absolutely amazing when it came out. Like, oh, this is way better than Bitcoin because you can make stuff on it. You could transact like there's Filecoin too, but anyway, what really brought me in was Hex and that it was a certificate of deposit. That was really cool because here's something that wasn't made to be necessarily volatile, right? If Hex ended up being like Bitcoin, which is sort of a hedge against currency volatility, sort of like gold, in the crypto world, right? If Hex kept its price completely still, you would make yield by doing what you said you were going to do, by staking and reaping the benefits of people who can't stake for as long as they did or whatever, or ignoring it, doesn't get paid back to the staker class, but it eats up the supply. You could just sit with it during a bear and make yield. That's crazy. You don't have to touch it. So when you trade a lot, time is money, right? It's very important.
Absolutely.
You can lose your time, and so with Hex, it's just the functionality of it. I know we're really really early on it in the scheme of things. It's immutable. It's going to last. It's made to just hold, and so that's why I like it.
Excellent. Johnny Chaos has entered the chat, and all you people that are in the chat, if you got questions for Hodpril, get them in right now so that we can get to them in time here. But
Make them easy.
Make them easy. No, you can't ask her out. No, you can't ask her dirty questions. In fact, what you need to do when you submit a question is this.
Control yourself!
Because y'all didn't do it very well yesterday. Yeah. All right. So what was it, the genesis of the name Hodpril? Because I was very curious about it the first time I heard. I think the first time I saw you was on like Matty Allen's conference. I'm like,
oh, it's dumb. I'll tell you. My name is April, and I like to hodl, so it's a mix between the two. That's all it is. It's Hodpril. It's so dumb, and it just stuck.
All right, and now you just doxed yourself there, so all the fanboys in the chat are gonna be like, desperate search for someone with the name April.
Oh man, yeah, I know it's not that common of a name, so I probably did, but whatever.
Exactly, like no, you got two sisters though, right? Their names are May and June, right?
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere out there, maybe.
Like, if you had triplets, that'd be the way to name them. That'd be the most appropriate way to name them.
Well, yeah, the order of which they're born is the month, right?
Yeah, because like if you just have twins and you want to ensure that they hate each other, you just name them Summer and Winter.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. All right.
A boy named Sue.
Yeah.
Hard ass. Yeah.
So in Hex specifically, or Pulse Chain, the whole RH ecosystem here, well, lots of KOLs, streamers, influencers, if you want to call us that. Lots of them have come, and lots of them have gone. There's some that we really don't hear from anymore, like Hodl Dog, KDP, she's gone. And many others. Some have just totally tapped out, and then some have actually turned into haters too. There's some people that, like, first they started out wanted to be Hex streamers. Now they're just on this like hate campaign against it. But you've been here for at least as long as I've been, been public.
I'm not an OG, but I've been here since the Pulse Chain sacrifice, basically.
Pulse Chain sacrifice. So since the last bull market, yep.
Yeah, that's right.
What is it that inspired this zeal that you have for Hex, this ecosystem, this community? What commits you to it?
Well, first of all, I think a lot of people that aren't around, they're probably playing it smart in that they're not hitting social media during the bear and just getting yelled at and attacked, right? Like, even if they're for Hex, it's like, okay, this is the bear. I'm going to come back when there's dancing GIFs and people are on and they're willing to talk positively, or you can onboard people. And bear, I don't know what you're expecting necessarily going online and, hey, this is the best thing ever. He posts a chart. No, it isn't. and people get mad. Sometimes people will blame an influencer. Hey, you made me do this. And like, of course, that's not true. If and if you're doing it for price and not ideology too, it's even harder, right? But I think we'll see a lot of those people probably come back again during the next bull, and I'd like to see them again. You know what I mean? Hopefully they do.
Yeah. I mean, let's see. Like,
But that's okay to take a break too when it's all crazy. Like I don't mind. I've been more active during the bull than the bear for a reason. For that reason.
well, it's definitely like the least amount of interest in crypto right now than it has been in a long time. And I can tell you this here, because like yesterday, the stream I did was live coverage of the Federal Reserve's presser. Every time I do that, that gets me like more views than I ever get doing anything else. I didn't get that many views yesterday. That's
Mm.
how little the interest in crypto and really kind of like all things macro right now is. Is that nobody cares. Nobody's interested. And I think it's a function of like nobody's got money.
It's which is when you should get into it, but of course that's not how it goes, right? Like
Yeah.
even the X sacrifice, I understand there is a number of sacrifices and it can't keep being, what it was, but it was like what, a little over 14 million. I forget. I could be totally wrong on that, so don't quote me. I'd have to look at the numbers, but it was definitely less than our other ones, right? And
Yeah.
also sort of by design. I don't think it was super shared around or anything. It's a little low key, which is okay. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a bear. It's cooled off for sure.
That's also why I think like the price action has been so disappointing is because nobody's got money. I think the unemployment situation is far worse than anything they're willing to admit to, particularly at these
Mhm.
Fed pressers.
Yeah.
And it's because nobody has sufficient amount of work, nobody's got disposable income, and you need people to have disposable income in order to spend the money to invest in these coins. That's
Right.
why this market is so incredibly disappointing. And it all goes back to this chart of Fed net liquidity, because this tells you just how much money is circulating around the private economy, and it is a downtrend.
Yeah.
Everyone's thinking, well, no, it's because crypto dead or a 4-year cycle, all those things. Like, don't know about that. I mean, did we
You
even
know what's funny about these 4-year cycles and even like the sun cycles, some people that follow that, like, oh, the sun solar maximum minimum, and you break it down in the 4-year.
yeah.
It's like that's a very vague way to hold. Like you just don't have to pay attention to anything. You're like, you know what? Sun will deal with it. When there's a maximum, all that radiation get people gonna buy more crypto.
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
then and then you got really like a 50% chance of that being true, right? So you're just sitting and chilling and you could be right.
Yeah.
And that's better than trading away all your funds.
Exactly. Well, let's
So
get into that. Was my next question here for you then was what's your current assessment of the market, where we're at? Like, somebody came up to you and asked you, say, Hodpril, you've been following this crypto thing for a while here. Is now a good time for me to get into it? Should I wait, or is it a
probably.
bad time? What's your current assessment of the market?
I mean, it's funny because again, um, precious metals are not a high risk thing to get into, but it's been volatile lately, right? So even this morning, if you were like buying the dip, you know what I mean? You're already and so crypto, when it's low and there's nobody in it, and it's like, do people possibly think that okay, the trend of crypto is over, it's never going back? Like I think maybe that's what they do think when the price goes down, is like, well, that bubble burst, like NFTs, like, yeah, people are over it, as if it's not still a high risk kind of almost gambling sort of thing that people throw their disposable income into at first glance of them being able to borrow any extra money, right? Like crypto's not going anywhere, so sucks and it's low, that's when you should probably start accumulating it instead of what's spiking. Like, if you almost just do what the opposite of everyone else does, but don't ever sell at a loss, that's kind of a good recipe for not losing everything, as long as you're not going into a scam. So
Yeah.
yeah, probably.
All right. So let's get into this part here then. Is
Yeah.
like, I heard you speak at the Matty Allen's Hex conference and also at Crypto 7's Core Coins conference. And I didn't think anybody else was talking about this but me. Because, you see, this isn't knowledge that people who are. If you talk about this at a party, you're not going to be very popular. If you talk about this on a date, you're not going to get a second date. And that is the macroeconomic situation with the Japanese yen, and more specifically, the yen carry trade. So, help us understand, for like somebody out there who doesn't know anything about it, what should they know about the yen situation, and how do you see it playing out and affecting our bags?
Okay, so feel free to correct me at any point, but in general, the yen carry trade is sort of based on the precipice that Japan, the Bank of Japan, will lend out yen at an extremely low interest rate, usually, right? And so what that means for us, this is in very simple terms, is that's disposable income that they can use and invest in, for us, high risk assets like stocks, crypto, I mean, even precious metals too, although that's low risk. So that it usually isn't, usually doesn't go to that. We're at that now, right? So when the price of the yen goes up and their interest rate goes up, people will tend to, a chunk of people will tend to go back into the low risk asset, which is precious metals. And so that's what happened with the de-risking event in October of 2025, is the yen started to go up and the interest rate started to go up, and so people were liquidated on their shorts, right? Like they had to take everything out and put it into less risky things. So Bitcoin was hammered, and I think it's very important to know what a high risk asset is, what a low risk asset is, and to know what's happening outside of your crypto bubble. Because I swear people just look at charts and it's like, look at this, yeah, but you can't be blind to what's happening on the outside, especially with Trump and the tariffs. That did it too. I mean, people were de-risking with the tariffs too. They didn't know if their investment was going to not be worth their time or money, right? So that probably really kind of started it, and then the whole yen situation exacerbated it, and it got better. The interest rate went down a little bit in January, I think. So that's probably one of the reasons why crypto kind of recovered a little bit in January too, right? But
Yeah.
basically, yen is potentially easily borrowable. So that's kind of why. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So we're showing it here on the
Yeah.
screen, the relationship between US dollars and Japanese yen. And as you can see, the dollar was getting stronger, which is why this was moving up, because it was going up into like the 159 almost. I think that was the peak here. Yeah, as a matter of fact, that was. It closed on January 13th at 159 yen
Wow,
per
that's so
dollar. So $1
ridiculous.
bill would get you 159 yen. And I thought that like the danger zone would be 160 before somebody intervened, like the Bank of Japan or the Federal Reserve would step in. They would buy the yen, and buying currencies like the yen is just like buying cryptocurrencies. Every purchase order pushes the price up higher. And
By the way, this is kind of dumb, but it isn't. When people see these charts, when it's from one fiat to another, they seem to get more confused than when it's from crypto to dollar.
yeah,
This means when this is up, it's dollar to yen. That means it's a weak yen,
it's a
right?
weekend.
When it's high, it seems like, okay, we're looking at yen, it's strong. No, when it's high, that means that's how many you can get for a dollar. So that's a weaker yen on the top there. And
Yeah.
when it goes down, that's a stronger yen, just so people know, because people get confused on that when they're not used to seeing it. I notice.
Well, what you got to look at is which side of the slash is the currency on. So USD is first. So it's basically saying $1 divided by 1 Japanese yen. Well, that right now that equals 153.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we had this great big drop, like a falling knife here, with in the past few days, because somebody intervened and bought a whole bunch of yen and strengthened it. Now, Hodpril, you have experienced a lot of inflation in your life, right?
Yeah, we sure have. I'm sure you guys have too.
Yeah. Have you ever experienced deflation?
Deflation's interesting. It's literally less liquidity on the market, right? Like it sucks for crypto. So if you like bear markets, you love the whole deflation.
Well, the deflation in general, though, like prices of anything you want to buy, not necessarily crypto, but like anything, like
Okay.
groceries and gasoline, like prices going down. Like, does that happen very often? Have you seen that happen
With
often?
gasoline, sometimes
Yeah, but not so much
gasoline
with.
has gone down.
I mean, not so much with other things. I mean, like healthcare
No.
in particular, or education, houses. They don't seem to experience that much deflation, and there's a good explanation for why that is. I mean, Ben Bernanke wrote the paper basically saying, hey, we can never let deflation occur here in the United States. And you notice, like, whenever the Fed talks, they talk about the dual mandate of maximum employment and 2% inflation. Well, don't we want no inflation? Wouldn't that be good? Or how about prices come down? Wouldn't that be good if life was made more affordable? Like if you could buy both barrels of beer that are in the room there with you for $5, or if I could just take this dollar bill and go buy me a really nice ukulele like this because how strong this dollar bill was, or maybe if it was real strong. You got a ukulele there, Hot Pearl?
I do. I have a baritone ukulele with
All right.
with
So imagine if this dollar bill was so
strings.
strong, I could buy this one and I could buy that one from you. Wouldn't that be a good thing? There we go.
I forgot all the financial talk.
Yeah. So yeah, it would be a good thing for me or anybody that saves money, but it'd be a bad thing for most people on the planet. You know why? Because most people are in debt. And
Yeah.
if
Inflation is great for that, for people in debt, but
exactly,
deflation's
like if these
terrible.
get weaker, my debt is less of a problem for me if I have debt. If these get stronger, like my dollar bill can buy my ukulele and yours at the same time, well, then my debt is more expensive because each dollar that I'm paying and paying back the debt, that's 2 ukuleles I could have bought.
It's 2 of them.
Exactly. So when the yen gets stronger, and because there is so much debt denominated in yen, paying back that debt is a lot more painful for the people who owe it. And what they want to do is pay those debts off right away by liquidating the investments that they used the debt to buy in the first place.
Which is
And
what happened in October, by the way. That's exactly what happened. And
what
that's
causes all the
so
chaos.
people need to know that's what caused, in part, crypto to tank. In part, right? Like, because, oh God, I can't be in a high risk asset anymore.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
get liquidated. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the story there on the yen and why I stress real hard about it, and I'm glad to see you're stressing really hard about it. You're bringing it up on just about every stream I've seen you on.
Yeah, because it's a lot of people look at the yen because they kind of almost pride themselves on, I don't know if pride's the word, they're the borrowable asset, and when it's not borrowable or their short isn't going to work, that everything else quickly follows. And so that's I mean, crypto is a huge part of that. So anything that happens in China affects Bitcoin big time. Anything that happens in Japan, especially due to the buying power and their shorting of, what happens there, the de-risking events, which is kind of what happens when they got to pull out of it when the interest rate gets higher, right, or the yen gets stronger. I mean, Japan, their situation's very strange. They're in a lot of debt. I think I wrote down how much, 4.2 trillion. I don't know if I'm right on that, but
That's big for Japan.
well,
that doesn't sound like much to us, but that's huge for a country like Japan.
yeah, but weirdly enough, it benefits them in some ways to have the weaker yen and the lower interest rate.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a complicated, long explanation why, but one of them is people are willing to, borrow the money and work with them and whatnot. But yeah, in other words, look at the yen when you look at Bitcoin, which affects hexagons. You know what I mean? Bitcoin directly affects hexagons. It affects people with altcoin cryptos or mainstream crypto. And the fiat and the dollar matters a lot. The yuan matters a lot in crypto, right? So look at the politics that happen in China and Japan with the yen. Like, it's important. And I swear the delay from that to crypto is like 2 hours, you know? So keep your eye on it.
Yeah.
It's important. It's important. Interest rates are very important.
Yeah. I got to ask this question here because, we saw this major decline in the strength of the dollar compared to the yen. So basically, we saw this major uptick in the strength of the yen happened a few days ago, and then look what happens to crypto. This right here, very nasty day. But from talking with you, I would never know that anything bad happened in crypto because I see a smile on your face. I feel a positive energy radiating from you, and I see this from you all the time. No matter what stream that you're on, and every time I've seen you on a stream, it's always been a bear market, at least for us Hexagon people. So I've got to ask this here: how do you stay positive in general?
I'm just dumb. I'm just kidding.
You're not dumb.
No.
Dumb would not be able to explain this yen situation.
Well, first of all, when you're not blind and looking at a chart and sad when it's not doing what you wanted it to do because you're avidly trading and don't have the time or the capacity to look at a zillion different charts and go even on news sites, right? Or even poll, even places where you need to know what's going to happen with the yen, with the yuan, with the dollar. Tariffs affect things, right? You need to have all of that to really to day trade crypto, because if you don't know that, you're cutting off a whole variable with it. You're cutting off a whole variable, and other people that are in the know will be able to outtrade you. Now, if you hold and you don't trade, it's still important, but what makes a holder is being less emotionally captivated by what's happening, because there's always an explanation, right? There's an explanation of why we are in a risk-off environment, right? So the answer to that is there's no freaking out about it. It's obvious. It's happening. It might even be good for us, right, in the long run. I mean, in a way, some of this is shaking out weak hands. That's not bad. When when you have people that really believe in what Richard Hart is doing, this is going to sound cultish, but whatever. When you believe in the functionality and what he's fighting for, and you believe in DeFi and hard enough that you're not going to sell your bag just for a glop of money because that's all you're here for, then when the bull happens again, people are less likely to just eat up all profit and kill it. So I had this theory with Hex, and I explained it a while ago to somebody that there seems to be an up and down kind of spot with crypto where the people who are there early eat up all the profit as soon as people get into it. So it's a ceiling, it never really passes. Once those people are out of money, because they're not really the hardcore believers necessarily, they were just there early, which is important. But that runs out. Most people don't have the gumption to hold. They really don't. Once they're out and it skyrockets, it's just the people who are holding, and they're just going to sell a small portion of it. They're not gambling their whole bag, right? They're not. And the people who are not really in it for the long run, and this is any crypto, this isn't just us. They've lost the huge bag that's able to just almost infinitely sell to people as the hype goes up, like a pyramid scheme in the first parts where you just keep eating it, right? Eventually, when those players are gone or forgot about it, it's just people wanting to buy it. So some of this stuff is important to get people like, oh, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to sell it all. You know what I mean? And I could name some situations and names of things that might be the case, but I could be wrong, so I'm not going to. You know what I mean? But in general, with the cryptos, that's kind of what happens. I think so. I see it. It looks, you know what it looks like? I should have made a chart for this. It looks like two little bumps and a straight line, and then whoosh, that's what it looks like.
Particularly if we look at the Bitcoin chart, it's got a lot of that going on here.
Does it bring up the all time of Bitcoin if you can? Actually, it's kind of hard to find that.
Look at the all time. Okay.
Yeah, if you can. No.
You want it on a log or no log?
Log, please. Although no log is kind of more. It's interesting, but log's fine.
Yeah.
By the way, people should look at log when they look at the crypto chart in general.
Yeah, because when you look at it like this here, well, it appears that we really haven't had any cycle at all since the last one.
It's not on the screen.
It's not?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just sharing that one. Right. I was just sharing
and
that.
I know this is an impromptu thing, but even if you don't show the screen, that's kind of like what it is. Yeah. So, yeah, click the log.
Yeah, this is on the log here. This is the log version.
Oh, it is.
Like without the log, it's this.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
with log, it's this here.
Yeah. I mean, do it without the log.
All right, without the log.
Yeah. I mean, see the initial little bumps, and then what looks to be like between them, it's just kind of flat, and you're like, why does it always look like that? You know, it's you know, when things are hyped up and people are really getting into it. This is my theory. I could be wrong, but anyway, I'll tell you. I think when that little bump hype happens, people start knowing about the crypto and using it and getting into it. And these straight lines are actually made up of a lot of up and downs, which locally looks like it's volatile, which it technically is compared to traditional finance stuff, because people are making and losing money on those flats. It's people who have it selling to people who want it, you know, because the people who have it, the whales or whatever, they have a lot of it, or dolphins. And eventually they'll run out and see like then it spikes surprisingly, because you're out of people that are willing to sell it, and you just have way more people wanting to buy, and people get rinsed out of like their ability to sell their stack, right? Because they've sold it all.
Yeah. That's
So
right. That mean reversion is right. Yep.
right. So it's not so bad to have like a long drawn out bear or like linear spot. I feel like that's part of the growth of the crypto. And if people are need to be, are going to be washed out of it, or they give up during a bear, it happens faster when there's bears. And in the case of Hex, where it's staked, it could potentially look different or take longer, right? Because there's a function that's forcing you to hold. So that's interesting. And you have the initial yeah. Well, anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I got to ask you about this here because been having a lot more people on the stream lately. I've been trying to get a lot more on.
Hmm.
Been talks with some pretty big names here. Matter of fact, I'll just call this one out here. Dollar Cost Crypto, if you're watching, please, let's have a conversation. You and I could talk. It would really be of great benefit for all the viewers. So please, Dollar Cost. We have exchanged DMs, but let's bring you on here. Let's have a discussion on stream. But lots of other people I tried to get on stream. And I tell you what, it's hard for me to get even people who were once like real die-hard Hexicans to come on here because they're really beaten down. They're really nihilistic. They're really sad and incredibly disappointed. And it was like I heard someone tell me that they think the past 4 or 5 years have been the biggest waste of time of their life and the biggest waste of money of their life.
Hmm.
Clearly, things at least feel, I don't think they are, but they at least feel worse than ever, particularly in our little sector of crypto. How do you handle that? And how do you see us turning things around and coming out of this?
Well, in a way, we could just wait this. First of all, Richard Hart Prove X might get more people into the ecosystem. That's pretty cool. I don't really know how he's going to do it. Seems like you can at least change from Solana to possibly Ethereum and to Pulse Chain. But that's pretty cool. I don't know what mechanism is going to be used, but there you go. Looking forward to it because the bridge is cool, but it's still hard for normies to use, right? Which, people need to be able to get into something. So also, everything else, Ethereum and Bitcoin, we are already kind of explained the de-risking event where people are going into the metals. Even Bukele is into the metals. I mean, trust me, he's the biggest crypto head politician ever, but he's going into precious metals because he's not stupid. You know what I mean? Because if you're willing to trade and you're not just a holder, if you're staked in Hex, you kind of forced to hold. That's one thing about it. Like you're staked, and a lot of people think they're scammed because they can't get rid of it. But what if it suddenly goes up? I guess they're not going to say that anymore, right? Like, oh, good thing I didn't sell. Like the Mt. Gox payback, how many of them would be way richer if they were paid back now rather than just being able to trade their stuff away slowly? I mean, the power of holding is absolutely incredible. But it makes sense that people are getting out of crypto right now. So it doesn't mean that crypto's dead. It's just a function of what's happening. Like it has a lot to do with things like the yen tariffs and silver, what people need, even AI stuff. Like it all blends in because people are investing in crypto more than using it, right? Does that make sense? At least people on Ethereum are creating things on it, games like NFTs and everything. That's why I liked Ethereum so much, making tokens. But overall, I mean, when there's, like you're saying, kind of deflation with everything, people have less to play with, right? Like there's not a whole lot for people to throw into. People are just trying to make ends meet. So of course crypto's going to be down. It's not a surprise. It's not heartbreaking to know that it's down right now. It's not never going to go back up. That's the way I see it. So I mean, it's obvious to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I see a Fed net liquidity chart with a downtrend. Well, of course, I expect the most risk on asset in the world to be down. I see massive
Yeah,
resistance
it
from
is.
the Federal Reserve Board of Governors and the FOMC to turn on the money printer. Well, absolutely, I don't expect any great bullish action.
Right.
But I think what's going to take the pull Hexaco out of like all this nihilism that we got to get Richard back on live streams. I mean, he's doing it. It's not to say that he's absent or that he's not doing anything, but we got to get this Interpol crap that's keeping him off live streams. You got to get that dropped, which I'm sure his lawyers are working on. You got to get him back on these live streams on very big, very big shows here on YouTube and everything. Although I'm not very big, but man, I would really want Richard on as a guest here. Be
Oh,
talking
that'd
all
be
about
cool.
sci-fi.
Yeah.
But getting him, I mean, he's already shown that he can get on some like very big, heavily watched shows and everything. That would bring a lot of positivity back, or just seeing some really big whale bridge in on the pulse ramp. I think that would do something for us as well on the pulse chain bridge. But yeah, it's really hard to see anything good happening within the next 6 months, particularly with so much uncertainty on who's going to be running the Fed and what the board is going to look like, what the FOMC is going to look like. I see that we got at least 2 questions in the chat here for Hodpril. We'll get into those. Before we get into those, though, if you got questions for Hodpril, please get them in. But we'll get right into those. But first, we got to take a quick commercial break. So, everybody, take a look at this.
Why does crypto suddenly explode into unbelievable bull runs, only to crash just as fast? It's not luck. It's not random. It's macroeconomics. In decrypting crypto, you'll uncover the hidden forces driving every major crypto rally, forces tied to the global debt machine, central bank liquidity, and repeating market cycles. This isn't another blockchain basics book. This is the blueprint Wall Street doesn't want you to read. The playbook that shows you why crypto moves when it does, and how to spot the next bull run before it starts. Don't miss the next cycle. Read Decrypting Crypto. Arm yourself with the knowledge to ride the wave before it leaves you behind. Decrypting Crypto by Cairo Code. Available now on Amazon and Audible.
Oh, by the way, I think that like the return to glory, I think it starts with eHex. I think it's got to start there on Ethereum because we need Ethereum itself to do something before anybody even thinks about altcoins.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what has me so I don't want to say scared, but like, man, if Ethereum doesn't do something, it's hard for me to visualize another crypto bull market. I mean, like you'd just have Bitcoin and you'd have stable coins, and that's like the future of this space here. If Ethereum doesn't do anything this year, hate to be a bear on that front, but that's like my most bearish view is.
Well, that's the reason. That's the reason Ethereum's down is because everyone agrees with you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What can I say?
Yeah. Well, that's something I don't want. I want to be wrong.
Best thing ever, and you're not coping. You're like, yeah, I'm never getting fiat. I'm just burning it. I'm living on Ethereum. Guess what? You know the price would be up.
Mm-hmm.
So like you have to be the edge lord to see through the misery and be like, you know what, this sucks. I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah, well, I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong about Ethereum here. I want it to prove me wrong and to have it go up to 22,000.
Oh, that'd be cool. It's the Max Kaiser of Ethereum here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that'd be Tom Lee.
Oh, actually, yeah, but
yeah. And it seems like Tom is kind of like the only reason it's still standing where it's at is because of his treasury company.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's ask this question here. Like, what is your primary source of hopium, or what is like the one thing that still has you believing in the pulse chain ecosystem, or crypto in general, what's like the one thing that gives you the most hope, particularly right now?
Crypto's potentially very easy to use. You know what I mean? I feel like it's still not that easy, but it potentially is. And it potentially is, especially, the way Bitcoin is like an actual fungible amount of tokens, right? Like there's 23 million. Everything else is things can fork, but you can't just endlessly print crypto, depending on what crypto is. If it's immutable and it's made, the price can only go up, right? Fiat is not the same way, so it's different than fiat. In a way, gold is the same. Let's say we found an asteroid and it was made of gold. Well, maybe that would be different, right? But you're not going to make more Bitcoin. Like, it's mathematically impossible. So that kind of wins out. I know that's all sci-fi nonsense, but not really. It wins out on the whole, you know, ability for a currency over time to not inflate into non-existence, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a big fan of crypto because of especially DeFi, for the freedom implications of it. I'm kind of an ideological crypto holder more than the massive gains. I believe in it. It has helped. Freedom. Richard Hart helped to define freedom of speech on the blockchain. That's insane that somebody did that. You know how much time and money that took? Not only to make a Hex, which is the better Bitcoin, right? Certificate of deposit, but to fight the SEC and to go through all of that, the time and effort. Like, that's crazy. So part of me doesn't want to dump it on that, right? But as well, I also think it's a jewel of an asset because this stuff works, and it's not working to drain people of their money by the user. It's working as a decentralized system. So it's incredible. So yeah, the price is going to go up and down, but don't invest what you can't afford into any of this. For real. If you're like, okay, I'm not going to have to work again in 5 years, like, why would you do that in a high risk asset? Like, that's crazy, man. You put in what you can when everyone thinks it sucks. Like, when people think something sucks but it's not going to die, that's when you should probably get more. When everyone thinks it's great and it's not going to last forever, that's probably not when you should get it. But it's just, human psychology is so funny. It works that way, right? Like you have to trick your brain into being logical. And so just manage your emotions and know when a low point of low liquidity and price is to get in on anything. It's a no-brainer for me. I don't care if it goes down, it'll go back up again.
Yeah.
I've been there before, right?
Mm-hmm. RH Max has entered the chat. Hello, Max. And if y'all don't know, RH Max was the guy that put me on the map at the very first Pulse Chain conference that he did. So good to see you here. I'll tell you what gives me hope. Gives me hope is this op-ed from Arthur Hayes.
I read that whole thing. That's great.
Yep,
it's really great. People should read it.
Yep. So I'll summarize it as best as I can here, is that he thinks that what's going to happen is the Federal Reserve will be printing money to buy Japanese bonds and push their yields and interest rates down, which is quite ironic that they're going to be working to lower the interest rates of Japan before they lower the interest rates of the United States. But because so much of the risk-on market here in the United States depends on a weak yen and low-cost loans from Japan, he says, well, this gives the Federal Reserve cover to add Japanese bonds to their balance sheet. And he also says, like, if they are buying foreign bonds and adding them on the balance sheet, they don't really have to disclose too many details about it, so it allows them to turn on the money printer like we all want it to happen to her, because that money printer is what made crypto go up last cycle here. So you read this. What was your thoughts on this here, Hodpril?
It was kind of, it's a trip because I was kind of thinking the same thing, but I hadn't read it before. And I read it, I'm like, oh, someone else just pointed out the yen thing as it relates to crypto, because I just haven't seen that a whole lot, you know? So it was validating in a way. The whole, of course, it went more into, you know, the Japanese bonds, you know, with their bank and the Fed and their potential money printing and what that could mean. And I'm glad it went into the risk on and risk off stuff, because it's exactly what it is, you know, and I think it kind of gives hope, because first of all, it explains a little bit what's going on to people who don't necessarily understand it. And also it's, you know, it's not Nostradamus. This isn't necessarily going to completely happen. Things are volatile, but it's possible that, okay, you know, the inflation, which actually bails out a lot of our poor people in hardcore debt, right?
Mm-hmm.
I could go in on the politics of people with student loans and inflation and everything. Back in the day, I used to tell a lot of people that were worried about their loans, it's like, inflation could cut it down, and they had a hard time understanding what I was talking about. Like, it might be worth more worth your money to invest your money rather than pay off your debt if the inflation is high enough to make your debt smaller. Like, you're kind of shorting your debt a little bit. And so people don't know. But I mean, crypto people will know a little bit more, but yeah, just, I don't know. I like this a lot. It made a lot of sense when it comes to our ecosystem and how it relates to the dollar and the yen, and to what's going on the outside, and how different ways that these things can be manipulated that people didn't necessarily understand before too, right? That someone who wrote this article does, but it still has the ability to explain to somebody who isn't necessarily super read up on all of this, to understand what he's talking about. So I liked the article a lot. I was like, this is bang on. I thought you sent me a link to a video. Like, watch it later. And then I read it like, oh, wow, this is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
Everybody watching, this is Arthur Hayes on Substack, and I never miss a single one of his Substacks, because he's very good at the macro picture, and really a lot of the whole thesis I got that the money printer is what makes crypto go up. It comes from a lot of what I've read from Arthur Hayes, from Lynn Alden, Michael Howell over at Cross Border Capital, who echoes a lot of this stuff here as well. And those are guys, like, when I see them on a live stream, I never miss a single one of them. When they write a piece or something on Substack, I never miss any one of those either.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So, what we want to get into here is like the questions that we have from the audience for you, because we want to talk about your musical endeavors. And I know we got a lot of questions about those. Here's a... Let's see. First one that we got here, it comes from Conspiracy Crypto, who asks, can yo play and sing? Imagine at the same time.
Can I play and sing what at the same time?
Well, I would imagine he's asking, can you do it both at the same time? Unless you want to sing the John Lennon song, Imagine.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try.
Right, yeah.
No hell. I don't... The lyrics are totally eluding me, even though it's John Lennon's Imagine. How did I forget it? A ding dong. I don't know. Yeah, I can kind of sing and play stuff at the same time, but in general, I'm bad at every instrument, but I can kind of play every instrument. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not too great at any one of them, but I can kind of like go and kind of do something a little quick on each one. But I'm not like B.B. King and Lucille or anything, like the opposite. Just a big collection of hella instruments.
Yeah, well, I could do it with a guitar. I don't think I could do it too much with ukulele here. Like,
yeah, you can go for it.
Some of the chords.
Oh.
It's like, You have, you got your A minor, and then it's so different from guitar that I'm used to. So like the E
Oh
minor,
yeah.
and then the G makes absolutely no sense to me because it's this, which my fingers are way too fat to play. See, makes hardly makes any sense here to me.
Crypto, keep it in your
Oops.
wallet.
Yeah, it's out of tune.
It's a little out of tune, but
Yeah.
I see that you are hitting the chords.
Yeah, well, much better with much better with guitar than ever
You
was
know,
with ukulele because
I
my fingers are
I
so
have a
big.
rough time with guitar because I have little kid hands. My hands are so little, it's stupid. That's one of the reasons I got ukuleles and
Well, that's
stuff.
the hands that you need for it, is because like
Little
they
hands.
place these strings so close together here.
Be like a shoe man and just stretch them somehow. There's a
Mhm.
finger stretcher,
Or
long fingers.
the real like the things that like it hurts me just to look at is when I see a chord that involves the pinky and you got to stretch it like all the way
Oh
out here
yeah,
like
the
this.
F chord. The F chord is kind
Uh-huh.
of hard for us little baby-handed
Uh-huh.
plebs.
And like,
We like
yeah,
to
there's no
still
way
do
I can do that. There's no way.
it. You can on the ukulele, man. Look at you.
Mhm.
You're stretching over half that thing.
Yeah, well, it's a small one, is what it is here.
It's
That's
not.
all.
I have a smaller one. You want to see a small one? Give me one second.
Yours looks bigger than mine.
That's the base one. Look at this little baby. Hang on. Give me
Okay,
one
let's see
second.
this here. And while she goes to retrieve that, folks, I will try to entertain you with my out of tune ukulele. What do you got there?
Now I'm all blurry. Look at this little guy.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right.
This
That's
is
like
a
the
little
size of
pocket
a
one.
hand.
Let's see. I forgot how to play.
It's kind of banjo sounding.
I have a banjo ukulele too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, that's right. Oh yeah, you could do this.
Lovely.
Not that lovely, but
Well, much
it's
lovelier
a
sounding than
super
mine because yours is in tune.
little tiny baby one.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, but
Uh,
we're trying to get better at the stringed instruments over here. We're gonna give it a shot, but for now, by we I mean me. I mean trying to. I'm a drummer,
okay.
so I'm new to strings. So it's a
More of a
little
percussion, more of a
yeah
percussionist. Hmm.
yeah.
I see. Yeah, this one song like from way back in college. Like, if there was any brown-eyed girls in college, they would just eat this shit right up.
Which is most of them.
That Van Morrison song.
Brown eyed girl. Brown eyed girl.
And then
You used to
Acid
sing.
Thunder asks, "Where's the stylophone?"
You know what? During the commercial break, I grabbed it. I have two of them. This one, well, I have three actually. I have the beat. This is the easiest one to play, and this is the original one. And I think even David Bowie knew how to play it. Let's see. It gets loud. This is hard to show on a stream. Holy cow. So vibrato. So that's the original. You play it with a stylus, which is why it's called a stylophone. Here's the new one. This is the version 2. And it doesn't get as loud. It's like you have a lot of different options on here. This is you. If you press this will this is like a finger area where you can kind of add your own vibrato, but you could put it at an octave down and go and just have like weird beats. I just got this thing though, so there it is. There you go. It's
Sounds
hard,
like
obviously harder to play, but if you're good at it, then it'd be fun.
it sounds like that was how they came up with the music for
Terrible.
video games on like the very old NES days.
Yeah, it's very
That's what it
MIDI.
sounds like.
With this one, it has like you have the delay and the attack and the pitch and decay, and it's just a whole lot of other variables. Where the older one is just straight vibrato or not, and you know, you can go really loud or really soft, but it's just straight up, just straight sounds like Pac-Man music, like real assembly music, craziness. Look, I'm all blurry now. I have so many instruments I can barely play. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hear like you write your own music as well.
Kinda. I'm just kind of
Kinda?
like mess around. Maybe I should.
Yeah.
Maybe I should write my own music, but right now I'm just hippieing out to weird stuff.
Something SJ did as well there that she was sharing with us last week. That she writes her own music and sings her own music.
Gonna go buy Post Chain, baby.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anybody got any other questions left in the chat? Get them in right now because we're going to be wrapping them up right here. But here's a question I'm going to ask everybody that comes on here. And this is a very important question because I know somebody out in the audience probably got this on their mind. And that's, what would you say to someone who's listening right now and they feel lost or they are second guessing their decision to buy the Richard Hart core coins? What would you say to that person right now?
I would say, look how hard he's working, and we're about to have ProveX launched. You know what I mean? If this is your first bear, like hardcore bear in crypto, it gets volatile and it gets nasty. Like 2017 was terrible for people with Bitcoin. I would say don't invest what you can't lose. You know what I mean? If you feel like you needed this money now, you know, don't count on a high risk asset to be your money now that you need, right? So for me, I don't care if it really goes down, it'll go back up. But it depends on your timeline. Like my timeline's very long. I'm not trying to get this like next year to go use it for something in particular, right? And I understand that's not the story for everybody, but it's a volatile asset and it's kind of a high risk asset. And what happened with the SEC happened. I kind of foresaw it happening because it's DeFi, and of course it's going to get attacked because it's unregulated, right? It's unregulatable. But there's going to be times where this really pumps hard, and there's dancing girl gifs on the internet, and everyone's like, "Oh, what happened? I'm so lucky." And you know, kind of coke heads in the Telegram chats up all night, just kind of tweaking. They got all their money, they're getting their stuff. And there's going to be times when people feel like, okay, I lost. Like I told everybody that I was going to invest in something that would make me a millionaire and it didn't. I don't know what to tell them. Or you got other people into it that are upset. There was a lot, you know, there are people that aren't even necessarily looking at themselves, but they're looking at the other people that they convinced to come in here or whatever. But we're kind of fighting for DeFi. We're fighting for whatever form that ends up being, right? It could be the Richard Hart ecosystem, but who knows? Fighting by being a part of it, of being this, decentralized finance movement where we have this option. So that's cool in and of itself for me. There's a reason why crypto's down. It's a risk off situation right now. So if that helps anything, that's a little bit of an explanation why. But that's kind of it. Like just up and down. If you hold like through the crazy volatile times, I mean that's kind of the crypto way, is holding through the ups and downs. That's how the biggest people, the biggest holders, that's how they did it, is they didn't let it slip through their lettuce hands. If you can't afford to get more, if you can't buy more and you don't want to buy more, then just hold what you got. If you can't handle that, you know what I mean? And that works too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what I can tell that person is that mean reversion is a universal constant. I mean, it looks like gold is never going to stop going up, but you got to bear in mind there's a financial law of physics here. It's like the higher that price goes up, the more and more money it's going to take to have it continuing to produce very handsome daily returns, and there's just not enough money in the world to keep that going on. It's going to get to a point where it, instead of doing 5% in one day, it just does 2%, and that dissatisfies a lot of the holders. They're like, okay, this is the end. We're getting out. Same goes in the opposite direction. At a certain point, an asset can't keep going down in price. I mean, zero is literally the floor here. You can't go into negative territory. It's not like it's not like a short sale. But when you are so down, it also takes very little money to produce a 50% candle to the upside. It takes very little money for particularly what I call penny coins. Any coin that is got a price tag less than $1. It takes very little money to move those things. And when you look at the Pulse Chain ecosystem, it would take very, very little money to pump that thing, just because of how small is the amount of liquidity that's on the chain, how small is the amount of coins that's available there to buy. We did get one more question here from Sunlight Live One. Is the U.S. government going to shut down again? So I think related to this question would also be the Clarity Act. Does that get passed, or does it not get passed, and then the government shuts down again, and we never get the Clarity Act? Because by the time they turn the government back on, well, it's too close to the midterms, and nobody's going to be passing any serious legislation. So I'm not so sure I got a certainty one way or another on this. How about you, Hodpril?
Probably. Just eat popcorn and watch, man. It's pretty crazy. I don't know. It's interesting to me, all of this. Because of, first of all, it's a president's second term. And so the F's given on any president's second term is slightly less than their first term. I don't know if people have noticed this before, but maybe it wouldn't shock me. I don't know, but it wouldn't shock me if it did.
I certainly hope not, because coming up we got some very important things occurring as far as appointments, like replacing Jerome Powell as chairman. He gets to nominate someone, but they still got to get confirmed through the Senate, and there's not going to be a Senate if the government's shut down. And if he loses the midterms, well, the Senate is going to block anybody that he puts up. So I sure hope not. I sure hope that it does not shut down for that reason, because of all the guys that I've seen, where it's Rick Ryder, who's like the new name on the list, or even if it's Kevin Warsh, who's like the most hawkish of all those guys, or Christopher Waller, if it's any one of those three, I'm happy. I'm happy if it's any one of those three. How about you, Hodpril? You got a favorite for new Fed chairman? I know it's like the sexiest thing to watch. You know, it's like watching who's going to be cast as the next Batman. It's that sexy, and you're probably talking about it with all of your friends at brunch, right?
Not really. I mean, it's all. I haven't been following that particular part of the Fed as closely. I know it is important, but I'm going to be honest, just kind of haven't. I know that it's up for grabs, but perhaps I should read up a little bit more on it. That's it. You know, but yeah, as far as does the government shut down again, wouldn't surprise me.
All right. And Hodpril, if people are looking to see more of you, where can they find you?
I'm Hodpril on X. I'm barely on Telegram anymore. I don't want anyone to be DM'd by a not Hodpril, so Hodpril on X.
All right, Hodpril on X. So, ladies and gentlemen,
DM first.
DM first. She will not.
I don't DM first.
That's right. She doesn't DM first. So if you got somebody whose profile picture looks a lot like this young lady on the screen here, I hate to disappoint you, but you're just it's not your lucky day there, especially with her promising you something. In fact, if that's the case, if you got a DM from this young lady on screen right here, the first thing I want you to do is this.
Control yourself!
Because it's probably not the real Hodpril.
Most likely not. So I don't know. Crazy things happen to people. But anyway.
All right, Hodpril. Well, it's been a great stream talking to you here. We learned quite a bit about you. And we seriously think that the audience was much better served from this conversation than they were by the price action that started at 10 a.m. here today.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
All righty. Everybody out there, good night and good luck.
That is it for us today, you glorious degens. Smash that subscribe button to join the rebellion, and follow me on X at ReinventIdeal for more unfiltered truth bombs between live streams. And if this was your first time listening, head over to reinventideal.substack.com, because I have a free gift waiting for you there. If you become a free subscriber, you'll get a free copy of my book, Your Parents Were Wrong, Debunking and Replacing Outdated Advice, packed with the wisdom to outsmart the system. It's absolutely free to join, so no excuse